Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board has introduced an additional program to ensure that learning continues despite schools closure. The program is tagged Classroom in Your Home. These lessons will be highly educative, engaging and beneficial for pupils in primary 4 to 6, particularly for primary 6 pupils preparing for placement tests for admission into secondary schools. This program will be here 3 times a week on Lagos television. On Monday between 5 to 6 p.m., on Tuesdays 4:30 to 5:30 p.m., and on Thursdays 5 to 6 p.m. Our dear pupils, this is not a holiday. Your teachers are prepared to ensure that your learning continues. Take advantage of this opportunity. Write notes for further studies and pay maximum attention. Parents and guardians, please encourage your wards to tune in and listen. They should be properly guided to take the study and all assessments. At Lasubeb, we are determined to leave no child behind. Thank you.
Hello pupils, you're welcome to another edition of your favorite program, The Classroom in Your Home. It's a program packaged by the Lagos State government through the Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board, Lasubeb, to ensure that you are engaged despite the fact that you're staying at home. I am Auntie Fumi, your English studies teacher, and I'm not here alone as usual. I have your favorite mathematician in the house, Mr. Agbaje.
Hello children.
And I also have your popular teacher, Uncle Popo.
Hello pupils. Together
we're here to bring the classroom into your home. Stay tuned. In our English studies lesson today, we'll be looking at the second part of verb tenses. Verb tenses part 2. But don't forget, I gave you an assignment in our last lesson. Let's have the correction first. These are the answers to the assignment given to you. You can see the answers pasted in red. Mark it yourself. Did you get everything right? Good job you then. If not, then try more. Let's go to today's lesson. The objective of this lesson today is stated as follows. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify verbs in the past continuous, future, future perfect, and future continuous tenses. Not only that, you should be able to use verbs correctly in the tenses stated above. We're starting with the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense refers to an action that was going on at a time when another thing happened. It is formed by using was or were and a continuous tense form of the verb. Let's have examples now. I was walking when he came to call me. I was walking when he came to call me. Don't forget the action word there is walking. And we have was walking because we are now referring to it in the past continuous tense. While we were singing, the baby fell asleep. While we were singing, what happened? The baby fell asleep. This one is funny. Father was watching a movie when he dozed off. You remember? Have you ever seen your daddy doing that? I can remember that as well. Father was watching a movie when he dozed off. Another example is the children were idling away when the teacher called them. The children were idling away when the teacher called them. Note something. All the verbs expressed in the past continuous tense had, was, and were added to the continuous tense form of the verb. And the continuous tense form of the verb ends with ing, walking, singing, watching, idling. Let's move on. The future tense. The future tense is used for an action which is about to take place. That means it has not happened. It will happen in the nearest future. It is formed by using will or shall. It is formed by using will or shall and a verb in the simple present tense form. You use will and you use shall. When you want to use shall, you use it with I and we. I shall be there. We shall be there. You don't use it with you or they. While will can be used with all other ones. Let's have examples of that. I shall go and visit him after the lockdown. I shall go. Shall with a form of the verb in the present tense form. I shall go and visit him after the lockdown. They will work hard next week. Remember, I didn't say they shall. They will work hard next week. The children will visit their relatives in the summer. The children will visit their relatives in the summer. Another example. We will stay indoors to keep ourselves safe. We will stay indoors to keep ourselves safe. We can also say we shall stay indoors to keep ourselves safe. It's correct too. Now let's move on. The future continuous tense. The future continuous tense tells us about an action that is still continuing in the future. It is happening now and it's still going to continue in the future. The future continuous tense is usually supported with the phrase shall be and will be. Let's have examples of that. I shall be expecting you tomorrow. I shall be expecting you tomorrow. They will be having the training next week. They will be having the training next week. Tola will be sitting next to the president at the seminar. That's a good one. Tola will be sitting next to the president at the seminar. We shall be writing our tests tomorrow. We shall be writing our tests tomorrow. I believe you're with me. Am I having your 100% attention? Oh, that means you are enjoying the lesson. Good job, you. Now let's look at the next form of tense, the future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used to show that an action will have been completed at or before a time in the future. Let's have examples of that. He will have completed the job before the end of the week. The bird will have flown away before you shoot at it. The bird will have flown away before you shoot at it. The party will have ended by 8 p.m. The party will have ended by 8 p.m. Activity time now. Complete the sentences with the verbs in the bracket using the test indicated. You have 1 minute to do this. Just write the answer because of your time. Your time starts now. Now let's have the correction together. Wow. Please assess yourself. Did you get the 3 sentences correct? Were you able to put the correct answers? If that is so, good job you. For your assignment, please copy this and do them during your leisure. We have come to the end of the English Studies lesson for today. Over now to the mathematician, Mr. Agbaje, for the mathematics lesson.
Hello children, welcome to this segment of the program, The Classroom in Your Home, powered by Lasubeb. I am Mr. Baje, your mathematics teacher. It is mathematics time, and that means it is fun time. Today, we're still going to be working on open sentences. But before we go into the work for today, I would like to run you through some of the correction to the homework that was given to you. Now, in our last class, we were asked to find m if 5m minus 4 is 6. The correct answer to that is 2. Let's check. 5 times 2 is 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. If you got that correctly, give it a tick. If not, give it a cross. Number 2 says 2k plus 7 is 13. Now, the correct answer to that is 3. Let's check. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 plus 7 is 13. Number 3 says 40 plus 8 is 44. Now the correct answer to that is 9. Let's check. 4 times 9 is 36. 36 plus 8 is 44. Number 4 says 7y minus 3 is 39. Now the correct answer to that is 6. Let's check. 7 times 6 is 42. 42 minus 3 is 39. If you got all, I give you a thumb praise. If you did not, and you're still having problems with some of this, then I urge you to pay attention. Today, we're going to be doing more work on this, and you'll have a better chance of understanding. Objective for today. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to solve simple algebraic equations. You should also be able to make substitutions in algebraic expressions for variables. We'll go straight into today's work. Example 1 says, solve 5m minus 6 is equal to 3m plus 4. Now, this is another variant of the problem. It's a little bit more complex, but you're going to be using the same steps like we used the last time. Observe this time that I have 5m minus 6, an algebraic term and a number on one side, and on the other side, I also have an algebraic term and a number. So, still doing the same thing, we will write the equation 5m minus 6 is equal to 3m plus 4. Now we will identify the terms. In this case, the terms are 5m minus 6. Do not forget that the sign to the left belongs to the number. So minus 6. And now this is the bridge. On the other side, we have 3m. Then we have plus 4. These are the terms. The next thing to do is to rearrange these terms. Now, the best thing to do is to bring the variable terms to the left, or the algebraic terms to the left, and the numbers to the right. Now I've color-coded this for you so you can see. 5m is on the left here, and 3m is on the right. The sign for 3m is plus, but we do not write it because it is the first term in the expression. Now, taking into consideration that 3m has plus, we now take it over the bridge and it becomes minus 3m on this side. The same applies to minus 6. On this side, it has a negative sign. So you have to take it to the other side, and you have plus 6. Now we have successfully brought the like terms together. These are the algebraic terms, and these are the numbers. We call them constants. The next thing to do is to merge the like terms. Now, 5m minus 3m is like saying, I have 5 mangoes, I'm giving somebody 3 mangoes. I end up with 2 mangoes. On the other side of the bridge, we have 4 plus 6, and that of course is 10. Now we're saying that 2m is 10. And this means that 2 multiplied by a number is 10. Perhaps you already know this number, but we'll go with the tested procedure, which is to divide by the coefficient of the variable. In this case, the coefficient is 2. So we divide both sides by 2. Now you have 2m divided by 2. And whatever you do here, you've got to do it on the right side as well. So we say 10 divided by 2. Now 2 cancels 2, and 2 goes in 10 5 times. Now on the left side, we are left with m, so we bring it down. And on the right side, we are left with 5. So we bring it down. And then we're saying m is 5. This is where we stop, my friend. And before we go, we've got to check if we're correct. So let's go. 5 times 5 is 25. 25 minus 6 is 19. So on the left side, I have 19. Let's go to the right side. 3 times 5 is 15. 15 plus 4 is 19. So I also have 19 on the right side. So on the left side 19, on the right side 19, they are equal. We're on the right path, my friend. Let's take a look at another example. Example 2 says, solve 4 minus 2k is equal to 7 minus 5k. Again, the first thing we do is to rewrite the equation. In this case, 4 minus 2k is equal to 7 minus 5k. Next thing to do, of course, my friend, is to identify the terms. In this case, the terms are 4 minus 2k on the left side. Now, this is the bridge. On the right side, we have 7 and minus 5k. Now, don't forget that the sign for 7 is plus, and the sign for 4 is plus. The next thing to do is to bring the like terms together. And in this process, some of the terms are going to be crossing the bridge. We must remember to change the signs. So we will rearrange the like terms. Now you see, on this side, I bring all the numbers. 7 is already here. I only need to bring 4 from the left side over to the right side. In doing so, 4 changes the sign and it becomes minus 4. So on the right side, I have 7 minus 4. On the left side, I already had minus 2k. That is this one. Now, minus 5k is crossing over, and now it becomes plus 5k. Now, the next thing to do will probably be to combine like terms. However, some of us might have a problem with this addition and might end up getting minus 7k. This is not correct. To be on the safe side, it is better we bring the term with the plus to the front and the term with the minus to the back. Now we can have 5k, then bring the minus 2k to the second position, and we have 5k minus 2k. Don't forget that the sign for 5k is still plus, but it is starting the expression, so we do not write it. Now we can merge like terms. On this side, 5 kobo minus 2 kobo gives me 3 kobo. Now on this side, 7 minus 4 is 3. So I'm saying 3 times something is 3. Now this is quite trivial, yet we still have to go through the time-tested procedure and we will arrive at the answer you already know in your minds. Let's go. We divide by the coefficient of the variable. In this case, it's 3. So we're going to have 3k divided by 3, and we're going to have 3 all over 3. I will advise that at all times, follow this procedure. You can never go wrong, my friend. Now we divide. 3 cancels 3, and on this side, 3 goes in 3 one time. So on this side, I'm left with k. I bring it down. On this side, I'm left with 1. I bring it down. So I'm saying, teacher, my answer is 1. I circled my result. But just before we go, we're going to check. K is 1. That is what we are claiming. So let's go. 2 times 1 is 2. Now 4 minus 2 is 2. So on the left side, I get 2. I come to the right side. 5 times 1 is 5. Now 7 minus 5 is 2. So 2 on the left, 2 on the right, they are equal. We're on the right path, my friend. Now let's move on to something quite different. Substitutions in algebraic expressions. Before we go into that, I would like you to remember some of the things that you've been taught before. When we have the same numbers multiplying itself, we count the numbers and raise it to the power. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That is 2 multiplying itself in 5 places, and you have 2 raised to the power of 5. So anytime you see 2 raised to the power of something, or any number raised to the power of something, it means you multiply it that number of times. For example, 3 raised to the power of 5 is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. As it is in this case, b is multiplying itself in 4 places, and we have b raised to the power of 4. However, it doesn't work for this because they are not the same letters. So we just remove the multiplication symbol and join them together. So ABC in mathematics is different from ABC in English language. ABC in mathematics means A times B times C. Here, we have 2 letters that are the same and they are multiplying each other. That's in 2 places. So I have A raised to the power of 2, then I have B multiplying them. Remember that in algebra, we do not need the multiplication symbol, so I just join it to the previous ones. Now, 8 times y, I do not need the multiplication symbol, so I just write 8y. And of course, this is a confirmation of some of the addition of like terms that we've done. Remember that when you have k like this, or any variable standing alone, it means 1. So in this case, this is 1k. So we're saying 4k, like 4 kobo, plus 3 kobo, that's 7 kobo, plus 2 kobo, that's 9 kobo, plus 1 kobo, that is 10 kobo. These are some of the things I'd like you to keep at the back of your mind as we go into substitutions in algebraic expressions. Now, I know some of you are smiling. To substitute means to replace a letter by a number. You see, in simplifying expressions like we've done in the past, sometimes we get to a point where we cannot proceed. Now, the only way we can proceed is by introducing something interesting that will unlock the result. Much like when you bring in Messi into the field of play and then things start to happen and the goals start coming in and you get the results that you want. We're going to do the same thing in mathematics. Over to the next screen. Let us find the value of 16a. If a is 3. Now 16a on its own is almost meaningless to us. If Mr. Agbaje says, I will give you 16a naira, you don't know the real value of 16a until you know what a itself represents. If mommy says, go and bring 16a oranges, you don't know how many oranges to get. Is it 16? Is it 16 times 2? Is it times 5? You do not know. But when you get a value for a, you get the result that you require. So the first thing to do is to rewrite the expression and then expand it. 16a is the same as 16 times a. So you just expand because this helps you to finish up the job. The next thing to do is to substitute the variables with the numbers. That is, now instead of writing a, you just put the value of a. In this case, it's 3. This is the one that comes in to give us a real value. Now, let's go back a little bit and see. You need to bring this multiplication symbol, because if you do not, and you write 16a, by the time you bring in your number, you're going to have 163, and that is 163, and that is not the number that is required. So again, rewrite the expression and expand it, then you can make the substitution that you require. From this point on, you can get your result. You go to the next step, that is to evaluate each term. And the only time we need to evaluate here is 16 times 3. And when you multiply 16 times 3, my friend, I'm sure you all know the answer. It is 48. And so we've gotten the number that is required of us. And so we circle the results. This is my final answer. This one is a little bit simple and straightforward. The next one I'm going to be doing is a little bit complex, so you might want to give me your undivided attention here. Find the value of 2c squared plus 3a squared b given this. That is, now a is 2, b is 3, and c is 5. If these are the values of these variables, what will this whole thing pan out to be? We'll just proceed like we did with the last example, and that is we begin by rewriting and expanding the expression. Now I want you to pay attention to what I'm going to be doing here. The terms of this expression are 2c squared and then plus 3ab squared. Having said that, you have to expand each term, but so that you don't make mistakes along the line, I advise that you introduce a bracket for each term. That is 2c squared, expand it, then put it in a bracket. Then bring in 3ab squared into a bracket and expand it there. And then you recall your Bodmer's rule. You first solve everything in the bracket before anything else. Let's go. Substitute the variables with the numbers. So you just bring everything down. 2 comes down because we know the value of 2. 2 is just 2. It's never going to change. Now we know the value of c for this question. The value of c for this question is 5. So instead of putting c, you write 5. So now c squared becomes 5 squared. We are done for now with this term. Then we'll move over to the next term. Plus comes down. 3 comes down. A is 2. So a squared becomes 2 squared. And then your b comes down. The next thing to do is evaluate each term. I mean, this is a term here, and this is a term here, separated by plus. So now, 5 squared, of course you know your squares table. 5 squares is 5 times 5, and that is 25. Then you bring down your 2, 5 squared becomes 25. Bring down your plus, 3 is still coming down. 2 squared is 2 times 2. And that is 4. Then 3 comes down. The next thing to do is to now finish off each bracket. 2 times 25, you get 50. 3 times 4 is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36. Now we just match this. 50 plus 36 is 86. We have found the value is 86, so we just circle the result and tell the teacher, I am done. Now, here is one of the same type for you to do. You have 1 minute. Begin. Eyes on me. Now I'm just going to show you how this is solved. First, we begin by rewriting and expanding the expression as usual. Now 3a is going to be expanded as 3 times a in a bracket of its own. 2b is going to be expanded as 2 times b in a bracket of its own. Now we bring everything down and make the substitution. That's step 2. So a, we've been told, is 5, and b, we've been told, is 3. So we just evaluate each term That's 3 times 5 gives you 15. 2 times 3 gives you 6. Now 15 minus 6 gives you 9. And this is the value that we require, which means that this is my final answer. So we just circle the result. Now, I want you to copy these problems and solve them during your leisure. And I'll be back during the next lesson with the correction. We have come to the end of today's lesson in mathematics. I will now hand you over to Uncle Popo. Till I come your way next time, remain wonderful mathemagicians.
Hello puppies! You are welcome to General Studies class. I am Uncle Popo. I'll be taking you on social studies today. But before that, let's start with the opener. I believe you've not forgotten. Uncle Popo is here. I am also here. We are here together, 100% attention. Let's do it again. Uncle Popo is here. I am also here. We are here together, 100% attention. Good. You have promised to give me 100% of your attention. So listen and enjoy the class. The topic is effect of substance abuse. Effect of substance abuse. What are the learning objectives? By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to list the major health effects of drug abuse. Secondly, you'll be able to identify major socioeconomic effects of drug abuse. Now let's go into the topic, drug abuse. You need to understand what a drug is. Mostly we are very familiar with some drugs that have been given to us by parents. You've seen, you know what a drug is. Let's look at the definition. A drug is a substance used to treat an illness or modify a chemical process in the body. A drug is used to treat an illness or modify a chemical process in the body. Some drugs are given to people by doctors to make them healthy, while some other drugs are illegal. We have some other drugs that people just go out to buy. Some are illegal. This means it is against the law to buy, sell, or use them. Anyone that uses a drug wrongly has abused it. That leads us to drug abuse. What is drug abuse? Drug abuse is the taking in of drugs and other substances without the advice and prescription of doctors, pharmacists, and nurses. As we all know that before we use any drug, it has to be through doctor's prescription. You don't just imagine, I have headache, I should go and buy this. Examples of abused drugs. Some examples of drugs often abused are cocaine. I believe some of us have seen this before. Maybe in movies. If you have not seen it, this is how cocaine looks like. And it's very harmful. Caffeine is the next. We can get caffeine from coffee and cola nut. Note, I am not saying anybody taking coffee as abused drug. Or you see one old woman eating cola nut and you just see the person as if such woman had abused drugs. But excessive of it, whether in coffee, whether in cola nut, is the abuse of the drug. Let's look at another one, nicotine. This could be gotten from cigarettes. I know you have seen where people smoke cigarettes. When you see people smoking cigarettes, it's very dangerous. You don't stay near the person and it's very risky to even smoke cigarettes. Never you try smoking of cigarettes because you can have some peer group that want to influence you to try it. You don't do that. It's very harmful. According to Federal Ministry of Health, smokers are liable to die young. The next is heroin. It's very harmful. You don't indulge in it. The next is Indian hemp, known as marijuana or Igbo. I believe if you are not very familiar with marijuana, you'll be familiar with Igbo. And you have seen people that are addicted to Igbo. Such people, you see how their lives are. Such, I don't pray for you to be like that in future. So you do away with marijuana, Igbo, or any Indian hemp, it destroys lives. The next is codeine. Codeine is found in cough syrups. Cough syrup, as we know, is used for curing cough. But some of our youths today take this codeine, they take it excessively just because they want to be, in quotes, I want to be high, I want to be slow. And it affects their daily life. It ruins so many of them. I'm advising, do not indulge in such because it is not good at all. I have a very short video for you to watch and see more about substance abuse.
Good morning, class. Today we have a very special guest who has come to talk to us about substance abuse. Let's welcome Sergeant Williams of the Royal Barbados Police Force.
Good morning, Sergeant Williams.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Mrs. Burke, for that warm introduction. I have come today to talk to you about 3 harmful substances that you should avoid. I have brought with me a very special piece of chalk called Preston. We will begin by talking about alcohol. Alcohol affects both your brain and body, and because it goes straight into your bloodstream, it can damage every organ and cause diseases.
Excuse me, Sergeant Williams. My friend's father drinks a lot of alcohol, and I cannot understand him when he talks.
Well, that is because alcohol slurs your speech. It also affects your memory, coordination, and judgment. Does anyone know why alcohol is even more harmful to children and teenagers?
Yes, sir. Is it because we are young and still growing?
Yes, exactly. Your bodies are still developing. Remember, you're all below the legal drinking age, so if your friends or anyone else offers you alcohol, please say no thanks and walk away. Tobacco is another damaging substance. I would like one person to tell me if they know someone who smokes.
My dad smokes, but he is now in hospital, and the doctors have told him that the cigarettes are making him ill.
I hope your father gets better soon. Tobacco is harmful to your body. It can cause breathing problems and life-threatening conditions such as heart disease and lung cancer.
But why will my dad smoke when he knows it can make him sick?
The reason people like your father find it difficult to stop smoking is because tobacco contains an addictive substance called nicotine. Once your body becomes dependent on nicotine, it is then very difficult to stop using it.
Excuse me, Sergeant Williams, but why do people start smoking when they know that they may not be able to stop?
Well, some young people think their friends will be impressed, but they are really mistaken, because most people don't want to be around somebody who is smoking. In fact, cigarette smoke contains many poisons.
Sergeant Williams, could I become ill if I'm around cigarette smoke a lot?
Yes, you can become ill from breathing other people's smoke. Smokers not only risk their own health, but also that of their friends and family. I would like now to talk to you about an illegal drug called marijuana. People who use marijuana have a higher risk of getting cancer as its smoke contains more cancer-causing chemicals than tobacco. Marijuana can be addictive and can lead to a loss of both concentration and short-term memory. Why do you think you should never get into a car with a driver who is intoxicated or has been smoking marijuana?
Sir, is it because the driver may crash their car?
Yes, that's right. The driver's coordination, reflexes, reaction time, and ability to judge speed and distances will be affected, and you could be putting yourself in danger. I would like to thank Mrs. Burke and all of you for having me here today, and I would like you to remember that using alcohol, tobacco, or marijuana will prevent you from becoming the very best that you can be. You are all able to do great things now and as you grow older, but only if you respect your brain and body by not using harmful substances. Come along, Preston. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, Sergeant Williams.
Having watched the video, I believe you have learned a lot about substance abuse. So let's move on to health effects of substance abuse. We have some major health effects of drug abuse, which are 1. Chills and cramps is an effect of substance abuse. Another one is nausea. It's also a major effect of drug abuse. Let's look at another one, which is lack of appetite. Lack of appetite is also an effect of drug abuse. Next is loss of weight. When you see somebody indulging in such, you see the person start losing weight. Next is increased blood pressure. Some people will start developing increase in blood pressure, which is not very good for their health at all. Next is conversion. It's also an effect of drug abuse. If you take all these drugs excessively, you are likely to have all these effects, like damage to lungs and vital organs of your body. Let's look at another effect of the substance abuse. Health problems like chronic cough, heart attack, cancer. You might likely be infected with all these I've mentioned: chronic cough, heart attack, cancer, which is not good at all. Next is respiratory infection, insomnia, brain damage, or stroke. All these are not good at all for us. So we have to stay away from any act that can ruin us and damage our health. The last one there is possible death. The end result of all this is death. We don't pray for us to die young. Then we have to do away with any act that can make us die young. Now let's move on to socioeconomic effects of substance abuse. Some major socioeconomic effects of drug abuse are: 1. Disorientation. Such a person will be disoriented from the society. Next is anxiety. Anxiety, I believe you all know what that means. The next is poor school performance. Poor school performance. Such person will be performing poorly at school, and it is not good at all. Next is truancy. Truancy is another socioeconomic effect of drug abuse. Likewise, we have incoordination. Such person will not be coordinated in the society at all, and once you are not coordinated in the society, you are as good as not useful at all in such society. We have come to the end of today's lesson, but before we go into evaluation, I would like to summarize what we have learned today. We have talked about what a drug is. We talked about drug abuse. We also talked about the psychological effect of drug abuse, likewise the socioeconomic effect of drug abuse. Now let me test you on what you have learned today so far. Attempt all these questions on the screen, and let me see how you have really paid full concentration to the lesson. Good job, you. Now, let's look at what you have done so far and test you before we can rate you. These are the answers painted in red. Good. I believe from this, you've been able to test yourself and see how you have really paid attention to the lesson today. We have come to the end of today's lesson. Until next time, next lesson, I say bye.
get today's lesson? If you did, you can take the online assessment to see how well you're performing. You can use the code that is being scrolled on the television screen. And that is based on the condition that you have access to either daddy, mommy, uncle, or auntie's Android phones. If not, there is no problem. You can send your comments or questions to the number on the screen. And the number is 081-50-86-5663. I repeat the number again, 081-50-86-5663. Until next class, when we shall be meeting again, I say, make sure you do your assignments.
Wash your hands regularly. Stay at home and
Stay safe. Lasubeb.
Leave no child behind.
The Lagos State Universal Basic Education Board has introduced an additional program to ensure that learning continues despite schools' closure. The program is tagged Classroom in Your Home. These lessons will be highly educative, engaging and beneficial for pupils in primary 4 to 6, particularly for primary 6 pupils preparing for placement tests for admission into secondary schools. This program will be here 3 times a week on Lagos television. On Monday between 5 to 6 p.m., on Tuesdays 4:30 to 5:30 p.m., and on Thursdays 5 to 6 p.m. Our dear pupils, this is not a holiday. Your teachers are prepared to ensure that your learning continues. Take advantage of this opportunity. Write notes for further studies and pay maximum attention. Parents and guardians, please encourage your wards to tune in and listen. They should be properly guided to take the study and all assessments. At Lasubeb, we are determined to leave no child behind. Thank you.